Okay, one of the main problems in the process of performance management is the whole idea that when you are being reviewed, when you're assessing performance, sometimes it's hard to really track and understand exactly what you did, right? Or remember all the things that you did to support your whatever case in terms of performance. If we think about it, fundamentally speaking, you should be working on the right things at the right time, right? And how do you know that? Well, you set up your your goals structure, right? Your goal plan for the year, right? Excuse me. And then the idea is that you have, on your day-to-day, you're doing activities. So the problem is having a mechanism to track those activities, right, that eventually align to these goals. And then when you're doing performance management, whether it's mid-year review or towards the end, you get to assess your performance over those goals, right, as well as any competencies or skills. And that basically shows up a full picture of how you're doing as an employee. In addition to that, a lot of the activities that we do on a day-to-day basis could contribute to a development goal too, right? Because you're always developing. So again, I think it's important having a mechanism to track or link those activities that you're doing every day towards those. Now, traditional software doesn't allow to do that. You and I probably don't do that at a very granular level just because the maintenance of it is just very much. And then this, again, not an easy way to show that to whomever is doing your performance evaluation. So today, I wanted to show you how SAP SuccessFactors provides or enables that process of tracking activities in a way of continuous performance in such a way that you don't have to remember all the good things that you did throughout the year that support your case in terms of performance. By the way, SuccessFactors is a full HR technology suite, right? It has software that supports end-to-end, hire to retire, and everything in between. But today I'm going to exclusively focus on the goals management module as well as the continuous performance. So in this scenario, let's pretend that I'm talking to my manager, so we are setting up a goal. I'm gonna go ahead and click here on the main menu and navigate to goals management. Page is gonna turn and I have the ability to see my goal plan. Okay, in this case, it's a blank screen because I haven't created any goal. Okay, let me go ahead and create a goal, and the scenario we're going to follow is going to be we are creating we're setting up a new HRIS system. Okay, I'm gonna do my little tool here, right? Smart Goal. So it's a wizard that supports the Smart Goal framework. So the goal might be implement. Oh, by the way, this is a library of goals, right, that you can load. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and implement a new HCM or HRES system. Okay. It tells me a little bit why it needs to be specific, right? A hint and some tips. Next, in the wizard, how would I measure this goal? I'll say successful go live of the new HRES system. Is this attainable? Absolutely. Is this relevant? Of course. Time bounds. Okay. We are going to say, let's pretend we started at the beginning of 2022 and we got all the way through like June 2023. Okay. So I got 138 days to complete this. Pretty generous. Next, review the information. What's the status? We'll say it's on track because we already started. I'll mark it as 5%. All right. Save the goal. Okay, going back to the real world, right? So now I created a goal plan with my manager, right? Which helps set up the direction, right? Or what are the things I should be focused on my day-to-day, right? And if you think about it in your job, you're always going to have sort of like two types of activities, your operation ones and then like new projects and such. And it can be a combination of them. Maybe it's 1% here, 99% here, maybe it's 50-50, etc. But the point is that you should always be visiting your goal plans. And fundamentally speaking, anything that you do should eventually align to these goals, right? Because in principle, this is what your manager wants you to work on to help that person attain their goals, which were set up by his or her manager, and so on and so forth. Okay, I'm going back to the homepage. So let's pretend a couple of days have gone by and I'm already doing some activities for these new projects. How would I track this? Okay, I'm going to show you here the solution called continuous performance. This is something, by the way, that is fully mobile enabled. I used to do it at my previous jobs, both at EY and McKinsey, literally on my phone. So every time I was either finishing a meeting or doing something, boom, phone, and just tracking it, tracking absolutely every single activity. So let me show you how this look like. Main menu again, so I can access all my modules. And I'm gonna go ahead and click here on continuous performance. And the idea here is that it's a page which allows me to track, right, different activities that I might be working on. So I'm gonna simply go ahead and click activity. And I'm gonna say, we'll say gathering requirements. Workshop. Oh, I'll say organize. Gathering requirements workshop. Okay. What's the status of this? This was actually pretty high, we would argue. And then here's where I get to link it to goals, right? Is this linked to any particular goals? Yes. Notice that whatever I had created in the previous screen shows up here, implement a new HRIS. Oh, and by the way, I think this is helping with my development because I know I had a development goal of improving project management skills. I think this is very much relevant. I'm organizing and managing this. So I'm gonna link it to that too. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and save. Now I can see this. Who has access to this screen? Not just myself, but my manager and anybody up the hierarchy. So if anybody's interested to see, like if someone asks me, how are you doing on your goals? And you say, well, I'm on track. Well, tell me what you've been doing, right? That suggests that you're on track. Oh, you can just come here and see all the activities that have been playing. Now, some people might say, oh my God, this is too like, you gotta manage this thing. It feels like a lot of work. With the use of the phone, it's really not. And when you see the power of it, that now you're having almost like a place that you can put these building blocks that are supporting your performance for the time, this particular time frame, it really makes a difference. Okay, now we very rarely do things on our own, right? And so I think it's important to seek feedback on some of the activities that we're working on. In this case, it was a big workshop, right? Gathering requirements for a whole completely new HRIS system. Probably didn't do that alone. So if I wanted to seek feedback, right? Yes, I could send an email, but why don't we use the same tool, right? Continuous performance, continuous feedback, performance management, to request some feedback. So let me show you how that would look like. Come here within my activities. I'm gonna click here on my goal. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna do an update. We'll say send to participants. Oh, the sign off sheet. Okay. Or sign off document. So we can start configuring. Can I spell? All right, but let me request some feedback. So I'm gonna go ahead and click here on the request feedback button. And then I'm gonna say I work with Tessa, although I can type anybody in the organization who I might have access to, right? Completely configurable. And we can request feedback there. You can do this at multiple times at this, multiple people at the same time. And then I say, what's the topic here? The requirements gathering workshop. And then it has some preloaded questions, although I can change that. By the way, everything that you see here, for the most part, it's configurable as well as reportable, okay? So you can get some really good insights. Imagine doing this at an aggregate level. Okay, one went well. Okay, what could improve? Cool, I'll just keep that. Go ahead and send. I'm gonna use my little proxy tool here to proxy as Tessa so we can see like her experience. So Tessa. Again, and this is completely mobile enabled. So normally organizations will use this almost exclusively in their mobile devices, and this is both iPad or tablets and cell phones. In this case, Tessa would have received a notification or an email. Please provide feedback. It also shows up on her to-dos. I can see that Anya, who's me, right, requested some feedback today. You request. Okay, and we're looking at the requirements gathering workshop. One went well. I think you did a good job ensuring that we collected all requirements. Okay, what could have improved? Manage the time in which executives took they consume a lot of time. Okay, any additional comments? Great job. Okay, not very creative. Now I'm gonna go ahead and send it. By the way, I do have the option to decline it there. Boom, I'm done. So very quickly, very easy, pretty good user experience. And again, if you're doing it on your phone, it feels like you're texting real quick, okay? Now if I come back here to as myself, right? And I go back to my continuous, well, in this case, I go to continuous feedback. I can see that, right? Now, again, I only see one example here, but think about if you had dozens of these things. Now you're really starting to track and understand where you're spending your time. You're working at the right things at the right time, getting pretty live feedback, right, on some of your performance or activities. And then towards the end of the year, you don't have to remember all the good things that you did because you have all that information completely documented here. Now here I can see anything that all the feedback that I've received on this year by whomever, right? You can eventually, because you're gonna get a ton of them, you can filter them. You have the option to click view more, to actually show this to my manager, or perhaps there might be some feedback that I don't wanna show to my manager for whatever reason, right? And in addition to that, right, I'm linking, right, all this feedback to different activities, right? So you got activities, so you got feedback over activities, then you got activities that eventually are supporting a goal, and then the goal makes that part of your performance evaluation. Okay. All right, so let me go back here to my continuous performance. So see that this is high. We would argue that this has already been completed, right? So I'm going to go ahead and we are going to edit the goal or the activity, and we're going to change the status to complete. Okay, it's high because we were working on that. Now it's complete. And notice that as soon as I click on that, it asks me whether I want to turn this into an achievement. And if you think about it, all these activities, right, typically will have a start point and an ending point. When it ends, ideally you have a result out of that, right? So in this case, I'm gonna say, yes, this is an achievement. It was achieved today. Save. And now I can see that my activity here has been completed and is an achievement. So then again, think about it. So let me go back here to goals management. Let's pretend a couple months have gone by, right? I can see, okay, well, how are we doing on my implementation of a new HRIS system? Okay, it's on track. Oh, by the way, I have an achievement here. So again, think about all the little things that you're doing, right, to support the status of this goal. And I can see, okay, well, on this stage, the achievement was that, you organized your gathering requirements workshop. Oh, by the way, you got some feedback, interesting. So everything is integrated in one place. And then the last thing I'll say here, once again, from here, then let's say towards the end of the year, you launch a performance evaluation in which you can see your goals, whether you met them or not. But within the same screen, you get access to all this information. So that way you don't have to remember all the good things that you did throughout the year to support your case within Performance Manager. That's what I have. This is about 5% of every, or maybe less, of everything what SuccessFactors can do. But absolutely, a tool that many organizations are using. I've used them myself as a user. So that's what I got. Thank you.